welcome back to Seahawks Across the Pond. I'm Connor, and Lewis is here with me. And so this it is, a Hard Knocks week. Episode 1 dropped last Tuesday, and it was everything that we would hope for. A glimpse inside the building, the culture, and Seattle as a city. Who doesn't like behind the scenes? Because I sure did. Today, we're reacting to Hard Knocks Episode 1 and a little added segment called Guess the Seahawks. So let's get straight into it. Lewis, over to you.
Awesome. Yeah, so we'll just start off quickly with a little bit of news like we usually do. So a little bit of stuff coming out of training camp. So as of right now, no Devin Witherspoon contract. We'll probably talk about it a little bit, but that was a part of episode 1 of Hard Knocks as well. A little bit of drama that came from Ian Rappaport getting involved with things as well. So one thing, like, does this kind of make you worry a little bit, Connor, before we continue with some other news? Like, are you a little bit worried now getting closer to the season, now that there's a bit more outside noise coming into it as well?
I don't think so. I think what we, very, very quickly, what we saw in Hard Knocks, he seems, Schneider and Mike seem very comfortable with the situation. I think Witherspoon does too. The deal will get done. I think that is why it's not being rushed and not being, when you rush things don't get done properly. And I think they'd rather just take the time, get it done properly, make sure everyone's happy, and then go from there. So I don't think there's much concern from my side. I don't think there is.
Yeah, I tend to sort of agree. I wonder what it was exactly that kind of threw them off. But again, we can speak about that when we get properly into the episode. But we saw a couple of things happening the last couple of weeks where there was like Bijan Robinson and Jameer Gibbs both kind of battling for like, oh, we both need new contracts. And I think it'll be one of those things where it happens like quite quickly, like, or just unexpectedly. It's just like, boom, okay, highest paid cornerback. Cool, let's move on from it. So I think it will happen probably sometime preseason maybe, but he's practicing, so it doesn't look like it's really going to affect him.
Yeah.
But I think like we should be the ones to reset the market rather than the other way around and have to pay out more. So Charbonnet, he remains on PUP, but he's there. You can see him in Hard Knocks. You can see him around the guys. No updated timeline beyond training camp, as we kind of all expected. Nick Manwari, who had surgery on his ankle he hurt just before the Super Bowl, just kind of was lingering with him, and he wanted to get that checked out and get that updated in case it affected him anymore. And he's off PUP and he's walking. He's putting pressure on it, so looks like he could be still on track for week 1. Couple of question marks around, how many games could he be out? So it's good to see that that's kind of brushed under the carpet, so to speak. Now. Everything looks clean, no big injuries. I think Jadarian Price, he looked really hot in training camp, and we can speak more about it, about him. Hard Knocks were just showing him pass catching all the time. It was just, I'm not sure if that was meaningful, but it was just passes all the time and some nice runs. But he's had a little bit of a leg problem, just some soreness, so shouldn't be anything too big to be holding him back there. So yeah. I guess into our kind of news segment, which we have stolen. Is that right, Connor?
Yeah, so to carry on from Lewis's point, so thank you, shout out to the guys on the 49ers podcast from across the pond. We sort of stole that idea a little bit with a bit of a twist. So instead of guessing the Niner from the teams he's played for, etc., we're going to be basing it off a yes or no answered question. So Lewis has got 7 questions to ask to guess the Hawk and see how quick he can guess it. So Lewis, over to you, my friend.
Sure, let's give it a go. This will be interesting. So I guess my first question will be, is this player from the Legion of Boom era?
Oh, I know he said yes or no, but he was there when it was live and finished, so I don't know.
Okay, interesting. So
so if I'd say yes.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Is this player offensive or offensive player?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so he's on the offense, probably towards the latter stages. Is he a Seahawks record holder? Actually, that might be too big of a one. I know you said you had stats, but maybe that wasn't one of them. is
I'll give you the we'll go back to it. We'll think of a new question for that one. I think.
Yeah. I'll go back. So this will be question number 3, and I'll say is he receiver?
Yes.
Okay. So now we've got the position, we've got the kind of error towards the end
a big
of
stab in the dark. That was
So we've got kind of the end of the Legion of Boom, like there for part of it, mostly towards the end of it. And now I have a couple of ideas, but I guess it becomes like how much of a deep dive we've gone. I kind of just want to have a stab in the dark. Was his number less than 20? His game number?
Yes.
His jersey number?
Yes.
Okay. I think I know who it is.
Yeah, I think you do as well.
So I'm gonna go take a guess, and I'm gonna say Tyler Lockett.
Yes.
Yes, very nice.
That was, to be fair, 4 questions. That's gonna be really hard to beat.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I thought I'm not gonna go like ridiculously hard, but like want to go somewhere where it's not like Wilson or like Sherman. I was like, I think I'm gonna go. It's a little bit on the harder side, but not ridiculous. And to be fair, you smashed out the park. 4 questions, so
belter.
Yeah,
belter. I love that.
Done really well on there.
Look forward to next episode, and I guess I'll have the Seahawk, and you'll be asking the questions.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. All right, let's move on to episode 1 of Hard Knocks, to the reaction. It opens up with the ring ceremony. And them coming down in their light up boxes from the ceiling. Cracked me up when Sam Darnold just fell out of his box and just like dropped
Sam
on the
Darnold
floor.
thing to do.
Yeah. So that just had me cracking up. But it was nice to see. It was nice to see a bunch of players. I actually saw that. I believe it was on Hard Knocks that Clint was there, whereas I didn't see Clint there like on social media or anything like that. So it was nice to see that Clint was there, to be honest. I know, we were missing like K9, pretty much the only person we were missing from that.
Yeah.
But, we've already spoken about the ring, so we don't need to spend too much time on that. But what was it like for you to like watch the ceremony and kind of see a bit of the behind the scenes of the players and the rings?
I've got a good close friend of mine who's a Buffalo Bills fan, and he's does a lot of he like me, he likes his research and his old historical games and things, and so sort of I like speaking to him every now and then about things, and we spoke about Hard Knocks, and I said this is a different Hard Knocks because this is the first time that they've followed a team of great, not to the point of success, I mean great success. The most successful season you can have is winning the Super Bowl. Yeah. They've had the Buffalo Bills on there, a great team, but they didn't win the Super Bowl that year. You've had a potential very, very good Jets team that unfortunately had A-Rod's injury, so that they didn't do very good. So this is the first time we've sort of, as NFL fans, had the view of this is what happens when a team who stood on the top perch goes again. And I think that aspect was very, very good, and I liked the different approach by HBO. It was more of a get a team in that we can change the output of Hard Knocks on. Yeah. So teams aren't going to be like, oh, okay, so what are they going to do this year? Not, what they're going to do. The Seahawks haven't changed much, so it was good to sort of understand what it takes to win again, because I feel that a lot of Hard Knocks, which we'll go on to, was Mike drilling the same aspects of last year into this year. So I think HBO done very well into sort of get a new era of Hard Knocks in a way. Yeah. So to see the opening ring ceremony, I mean, like, we laughed about the Sam thing, but it was just a different vibe. I think it was a total different sort of opening scene, different. They panned to the Vince Lombardi trophy, and saw the sort of stood next to the one where we beat Denver. So it was just a different vibe, and I really liked that sort of idea of watching a team rebuilding or watching a team trying to do well. This team has done well, and they're gonna try, and they're gonna do well again. Yeah. So it's more of this is a championship Hard Knocks rather than a rebuilding Hard Knocks, and I really like that aspect.
Yeah, I think it was like so interesting because Like, I mean, the Hard Knocks crew, they won the lottery to
They're
get a
there, yeah,
Super Bowl winner. Like 2001, this has been going for. Started with the Ravens, and they've never had a Super Bowl team on it.
yeah,
Or Super Bowl winning team. So I did think it was really nice. It was a nice start, to bring it in with a ceremony and kind of pick up from last year, bring in the Super Bowl rings. Um, I will say, like, I personally now I haven't rewatched all of the Hard Knocks to see how they've been filmed, but I feel like we've never spent as much time in this like first episode in like a coach's office. Um, as we have in Hard Knocks episode 1, and I think they're just trying to get as much Mike as they can.
yeah,
Um, and I think the reason for that is because what he speaks about in the first episode is like building that culture, and he talks about the Chicago Bulls, with and without Michael Jordan, and like how they built that team, and then the dynasty aspect of it, and then he talks about how his take on the NFL is kind of like, as we spoke about last year, like MOB, right? The meaning of MOB, mission over ball, and then kind of putting that behind him and having like an egoless team in a way. I think it's really interesting that he's kind of being shown on Hard Knocks quite a lot more, because usually he's jump in with the action and stuff. But like we're in his office, we're seeing him talk to Cooper Cup, and like Cooper Cup kind of showing him some tips and
yeah,
tricks, blows his mind when he says, "Oh, they're just doing it from under center," and he's like, "Oh my god, why do we never think of that?" Something so simple, but I don't know. It's a dominant early look, I think. But you got a lot of Mike, and he's like self-depreciating. He's like quite funny. He has his little quirks, and he's like, "I'm the most awkward guy in the world," kind of thing. Um, but I think that they're genuinely looking at this as like a real culture building kind of show.
yeah.
Um, which I you know I don't mind it, to be honest, but I'm excited to see like where it grows from there, and kind of goes outside of culture and like into the action of camp. Yeah, but what have you thought about like Mike in the first episode?
I mean, I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. I think just sort of the fact he drills culture into these players so much, and he does perceive himself as like an awkward sort of guy, but he's even been an awkward guy, or thinks he's been an awkward guy. He's still got these players on his side.
Mm,
No one's against him. No one, if he, we'll go on and speak about it. But the whole Derek Hall situation, he dealt with that like a good, really human being,
mm,
and I think that's why no one can have a go or think that he's dealing with situations badly, because he doesn't. And I think that's the massive difference. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't shout. He doesn't treat people differently because he's in a position of power. He's gets his points across very humanly with morals, and I think he just we've said it before. He makes you want to play for him, and makes you want to die in the field for him.
yeah.
So it's, I mean, sitting in his office speaking with Coop, and he's not, doesn't let pride get to him. He's won a Super Bowl. He's an outstanding coach in this league, but yet he's speaking with Cooper Cup and being like, right, what more ideas can we do? He's not saying to Coop, no, we'll do this. No, we'll do this. No, we'll do this. It's like Coop says something. He's like, oh, Coop, good stuff. Like, how did we think about that?
Yeah.
He puts his pride to a side, and I think that's a massive difference in success and not success. There's probably many coaches in the league that would have held that situation so differently, and that's the difference. So I
Mm.
think his overall demeanor was shown in Hard Knocks, and it's good to see, and the reaction over Twitter and the whole NFL world was how likable is Mike McDonald after that episode
Yeah.
1. And I think it was just, it's shown that is, this is the Mike McDonald we got, and he's going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, it was really cool to see, and like his connection with Arden Dirty as well was really cool to see, and sort of have them to kind of, I was going to say battle it out, but that's not the right
No,
terminology. But they had the Derek Hall incident, and it's like, oh man, I'm annoyed that he did that, and it's like, well, hold on, this offensive guy said this, and like how him being the head coach, he obviously has to straddle both sides. But you can see he has like he definitely has that inkling towards his defense being a defensive coach. But I remember there was this clip where he walks up to Sam Darnold and he says that they've been playing awfully on defense and the offense has been tearing him up. And I quite like, him kind of being annoyed that his defense is playing bad, but
Yeah.
the result is his offense is playing really good. So it's quite interesting to see him be like, well, I'm a defensive coach. We're playing like trash, but the offense is playing good. So I have to kind of be happy for the offense. So it's nice to see. It is nice. Let's talk a little bit about Jadarian Price. As we mentioned in sort of the intro segments, he's been featured heavily in the first episode. You know, Mike and Arden were kind of marveling at his speed during team drills and individual drills, comparing him almost to a wide receiver out there, which was really interesting. Very different traits. So it means he's clearly got good hands, but also like he's fast and he can make quick cuts. So I think it was nice to see a lot about Jadarian. Hopefully, it doesn't sort of overhype him. I feel like Hard Knocks does this thing every year where you get really excited about a couple of players they showed, and you're drafting them, and it's like I've just drafted a sixth string wide receiver because I liked him on Hard Knocks in like fantasy drafts. So hopefully Jadarian is active and he plays well. He was elusive, kept getting couldn't get tackled by Byron Murphy because he was moving and Murphy was just like I just let him go. I couldn't bother to catch that. So yeah, what do you think about Price during this first episode?
I mean, it was really good to see that he was sort of getting the spotlight a bit, because I think out of camp, because of the running back situation we have, that was like Hard Knocks know what they're doing. They know sort of where our slight weak area may be with Charbonnet out. So they did focus on that a lot. And are they sort of falsifying hope, or are they sort of glorifying what we've got? And I think it's probably edged towards more glorifying what we've got at the minute. For Byron Murphy to stand there with Williams and John Reed and Riley Mills and say, look, this is not someone who doesn't know what they're doing. This is a quick guy who knows how to make cuts and knows how to make people miss. And let's not forget that Byron Murphy is an elite tackler in this league. So, if that was one of your rookie defensive tackles who's drafted in the 7th round saying that, you could be like, oh, okay, maybe that it's just a non-talent thing. But Byron Murphy's a quick guy as well. He's not, he's not built humongously.
Yeah.
But he's built. He's an athletic defensive tackle, and for someone with a bit of athleticism to say this guy is quick and he knows how to make cuts, it is very promising, and it shows probably the development that Jadarian's gone on from being drafted. I mean, you sort of know he was going to be a quick guy who could do make those good cuts, and the quickness was there. But when it's there in front of you, when you've got these elite players saying things to sort of back them comments up, it's really good to hear. And I think Thomas Hammock sort of stole the spotlight a bit in that little 5-minute speech he had. But even all the guys when they come in from practice one day were like, "What's your number one funny moment from Hard Knocks?" And they all just went like
his little shimmy, his little
shimmy, and it was good. I mean, but he's gonna get the best out of him, 100%. And the passing game was there, the quickness was there. You got to feel that the toughness is there. So I do feel he's got all the characteristics and the attributes and the players and coaches around him to develop him very well. So I do think we do have someone good in our hands there. And I do really feel that he is going to give him a few weeks of actual NFL game time. I think he'll be there, and I think he'll really give Charbonnet a serious run for his money for that number 1 spot.
Yeah, I think it would just be interesting to see how he gets up to speed in an NFL game. And if it slows down for him and if he's really built for that, I think that'd be really interesting. I really like that. I really like seeing how it goes. And hopefully his lingering little leg injury isn't anything too bad, and we can see maybe even some preseason action, and see how he does. Let's talk a little bit about Witherspoon.
Yeah.
So about 20 minutes into the episode, it shifts to John Schneider and Mike McDonald talking about Ian Rappaport's report that the contract had caused some frustration with him, and that he was going to be one of the highest paid guys, or that they weren't going to make him one of the highest paid guys, and he said that that wigged him out. So got him all a bit nervous about that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was interesting to see the sort of behind the scenes of of Witherspoon a little bit and that contract situation, and
Yeah.
behind the scenes of I don't think, again, thinking back to other Hard Knocks that I've seen, I don't think you get a lot of the GM actively trying to work through contracts and actively trying to, maybe you get a shot of them working out an agreement or signing the contract or something, but I don't know. I might be wearing rose-tinted glasses here, but yeah, I don't think we see this much sort of behind the scenes actions of acquiring guys, extending guys, etc.
Yeah, it was a bit of with all the talk about Spoon's contract, I think this was sort of needed to sort of for fans to understand what exactly goes on. And it was good that however Ian Rappaport gets his information, he obviously didn't get this bit right, but it was good for John to be like, get out to the media now and tell Rappaport he had it wrong. We're sorting this out. Sort of tell him to sort his crap out. And it was good to sort of see that sort of side of things and understand what actually goes on. Because sometimes I feel that the GMs and coaches and everybody else knows the cameras are there, but then sometimes they forget. And I think this was one of the times where you actually see the real Schneider and be like, no, we need to reach out to Ian and be like, take that crap down now, because this is not what's going on. And it's, you're not looking to the camera and be like, oh, the camera's right, okay, we'll do it. It's like, it was a proper from the heart moment of no, this is getting done. And it is nice to see that fiery sort of side of Schneider to sort of, this is our GM for, I can't remember how long he's been there.
Yeah,
slightly before Pete, so it's been a good long tenure. So he knows how to run this team and he knows how to do things properly. And I think because of his success, it's nice to see how success is run. And I feel that was a success moment from him. It wasn't we just don't say anything and figure it out. Just like, no, we're dealing with it. Get Ian Rappaport on the phone, tell him he's wrong, tell him we'll sort it out. And but yeah, it was like I said earlier, I'm not worried about the Spoon contract. I think it'll fly in quite nice. But it's just a case of sorting it out, get it sorted out well.
Yeah.
But yeah, unless you wanted to touch on anything about that, we had a cool little moment with Cooper Kupp and Sam Darnold about the Swift and Kelsey wedding. And JSN sort of saying what he was like with Coop. I don't know, obviously, maybe you want to try and explain to everyone what went on in that situation.
In what situation was that? Sorry.
When Sam and Coop were sort of talking about the wedding and sort of comments about Cooper, sort of the guy Coop is and what he does for the team.
Yeah, so I think it was nice because JSN described him as having another coach out there. And I think that's even in the meeting, the receivers coach said Coop, it's your responsibility to get these guys doing this and that. And I thought it was so interesting that they kind of, he is just kind of like another coach out there. And again, we cut back to that same shot with him and Mike where he's kind of just a one-on-one meeting in Mike's office. And he sort of blows his mind about something because he just sees the game so differently.
Yeah.
But it was really good to see Coop in that light, and I also think it was quite strange. They're talking about LeBron James signing with the Philadelphia 76ers, I believe, and they're talking about how if you're a free agent, of course you'd want to go to a contender kind of thing. Like everybody who's a free agent has that chance. What I do find kind of funny about the whole situation is they start talking about Tony Romo
Yeah.
because Tony Romo got pulled over
Yes.
for driving under the influence, um, and now could be like losing out on his whole post NFL career of announcing because of it. I think there's a couple of things in that. I think believe it's CBS is probably a little bit excited about that because they paid him an awful lot of money, and
Yeah.
he's kind of not the same Tony Romo. We all were like, oh my god, he's like in the future. He knows exactly where this ball's going to go. So maybe CBS is sort of using this as a grace to get out of such a large contract that they're
Possibly.
paying him. But yeah, and then again they spoke about, I think the way he was talking was about Taylor and Travis Kelsey's wedding, and um yeah, and about how I think Coop was saying how much he saw Tony Romo drinking is what kind of starts that conversation, is how much alcohol Tony Romo consumed at
Yeah.
their wedding, which is kind of just like a funny full circle moment. But yeah, I kind of feel a little bit for Tony on a side note,
Yeah.
like also if you're making that much money, just get an Uber or something. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's just silly things to drive under the
Yeah.
influence. But yeah, it's cool seeing Coop kind of be that like leader in the locker room and that coach as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And I feel, I've read and seen he's had a really good camp as well. So it's not just he's there for, for example, like Jordan Henderson in the England squad at the World Cup.
Hmm.
He was never there to play. He's there to be the support and be the dad or the uncle that everyone needs there.
Yeah,
And it's good that Coop hasn't taken that role of just I'm here to support everyone. He's like, no, I can still play,
yeah,
and he can still play. So I think that is good. He's not there specifically to help JSN or to help Horton or to help Henderson. He's there to actually play and be in a
yeah,
role to make this team better, and he does make this team better. So I think he's got that ability to play and ability to coach all in one. So I think people like that are very, very unique, and there's not, it's quite rare around the league. And we do have our hands on someone who is incredibly influential, and he hasn't got this ego that sort of he says to JSN or anyone else that do this way or anything. He's in full coach mode, and it's absolutely brilliant to see. And I'm so glad that we did pick him up in the end, because he
yeah,
brings so much to the table, like a ridiculous amount.
yeah. Absolutely, I can agree more. Um, let's talk a little bit about a little bit of drama from episode 1.
Yeah,
Derek Hall.
yeah,
So I mean, let's start at the beginning of the incident. So a lineman and like a linebacker get a little bit scrappy, and from what I could see, the O lineman pushes the linebacker, and then someone else comes in. Leonard Williams comes in and kind of pushes the lineman back and out of the way, and keeps pushing him around. And then Derek Hall comes in from behind and pretty much choke slams this guy. Um, on Bryce Cabledew, I believe it was, during a padded practice, and it was completely unnecessary. Now, Hard Knocks has covered, and we'll continue talking about this incident, but Hard Knocks has covered the Derek Hall incident here, and kind of, labeled it Derek Hall, and Derek Hall and I think it was Brady Russell kind of got into it as well when a scuffle broke out. But the interesting part to me is nobody's spoken about the fact, and I'm not sure if you would have seen it, but at the end of the scuffle, Josh Jobe throws a punch with his helmet in his hand at Bryce Cabledew, and I was just like shocked when
I haven't
because
seen that.
I first saw the clip on Instagram, and I was like, just before the episode released, I was like, no way. And then when I watched it back, and if you go back and watch that scuffle from episode 1, when it begins to become a scuffle and more players are involved, Josh Jobe genuinely just like grabs his face mask and punches a player with his helmet. And it's just not talked about. And everyone talks about
Wow.
D Hall. And like I will say, like the choke slam by D Hall was a bit unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like it was just a push. It didn't need to go that far. But one thing I want to get your opinion on as well is after the fact, Ireland Dirty, the DC's talking to Mike about it, and Mike says that it was kind of out of hand and from D Hall to to choke slam him essentially, and then Adam says, "Oh well, did you hear what Brady said to him?" And Brady said that like money's changed him essentially. I believe it was.
Yes.
I didn't see Brady Russell before the choke slam. I think Brady Russell came into the picture after the choke slam.
Yes.
So as much as Mike then goes to talk to Brady and say, "Hey, you can't say that. That wasn't nice of you to say," and you can see how he's calm and personable on both sides. I think you can't just chokeslam a man and not expect a little bit of trash talk back.
Yes.
So anyway, I've been talking about this for a while now, so you take it away. I want to hear what you think about this.
So initially, I was going to say that apart from that bit of drama, it was a drama-less episode. And I did not see the Josh Joe punch, so no, I can't really say it's a if you take D Hall out of it, that there's no shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
So what I'll speak about what I was going to speak about, minus the Josh Job incident. But if you do take D Hall out of it, I don't think there was any boisterous activity going on. It was just the occasional push and things, and that you do expect that. But that choke slam for me was incredibly unnecessary. I don't know if I'm in sort of agreement with Brady, maybe, about the fact has money changed him, and the fact that now he probably gets a more important role. So does the fact that he's had in effect, more money, more important role, more snaps, his name will be thrown along the league a bit more, has that got to his head a bit? And from episode 1, and I will also add that he's in a scuffle in episode 2 that I've already pre-seen, I'd have to say yes. I think he has sort of got to his head a bit, and it's quite a bit of a shame because he's a good player and he's a funny dude, and he's dancing, and they made fun of his shorts, and he's one of those guys that you really want to like because he's just a likable dude. But there's so much not need for what he does in terms of the fighting and unnecessary behaviour. Granted, they both made up. They had a nice little hug at the end and said, their sorries and whatnot. But I feel that is someone Mike does not want in the team. So the way that Mike diffused it was very Mike, and the way that D Hall and Bryce and Brady sort of come up to it in the end that everyone hug each other and say sorry. Mike does not want that shenanigans in the team from Derek Hall, and I think that's very, very clear. So it would be interesting to see how because I've seen the situation in episode 2, but it'd be good to see how that is cleared up, because I think the incident in episode 2 is a bit more. There's more fury in Mike and there's more fury in D Hall. That situation could get out of hand. So I feel that however we see that is dealt with, you'll see the true D Hall, you see the true Mike Mack as well. But yeah, I mean, it's good that Mike sort of went to Aiden and was like, look, what was said. He said, look, Brady said he crossed the line and said that the money got to him, and he spoke to Brady. He was like, oh well, that was too far. And he's like, I'm all for trash talk and smack talk and squabbles, but you did take it too far, and that again shown how Mike deals with these tough situations, because they're not easy. You got to manage a group of guys, that it's like the roster's like 90 at the minute or whatever, or 670 or whatever. It's so high. You got to cut guys. You got to treat all these guys with respect. You got to treat all the coaching staff with respect, and all the cafeteria staff with respect. So to balance the sort of person who he is with the coach he is, I find is quite hard, but he does it extremely well. So I feel he did deal with that situation extremely well. It'd be very interesting to see how he deals with the episode 2 situation, because that was a lot more fiery than the situation in episode 1.
He does have a lot of respect. He gets a lot of respect from the team of how he goes by it, and you saw that from like Brady when he was just like, yes sir, yeah, it was bad, I apologize, etc. Like D Hall, like you mentioned, the incident in episode 2 as well. I think it's more funny because obviously we'll speak about this, but just a really, really short preview on episode 2 is, Mike told him once, and he did it again, and then you kind of see Mike turn around and say, "I'm the one that's running practice." So I think that's really interesting. The difference in how heated he is when he's done something to another player and it's caused a scuffle, versus I've told you not to do something and you've just gone and done it again. And like it was fun to see that pissed off version of Mike, to be honest.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I do have one thing I want to ask you, a preview of episode 2, but I wanted to, in case any news breaks before the now when the chance we get to film episode 2. You mentioned that they don't want that type of player, i.e. Derek Hall being the way he's been in camp.
Yes, I know exactly what you're asking me.
And they work out in episode 2, Terrion Arnold, who earlier this year was arrested for charges of kidnapping and robbery in Florida, and obviously got dropped by the Lions and is facing possibly life in prison. How do you feel about the fact that we worked out Terrion Arnold?
I mean, one very simple and easy question I read to this whole situation is, does he make the team better?
Mm-hmm.
If you include extracurricular activities, no.
Yeah.
But he's a fantastic player.
Yeah.
This is the headache that Mike has. And we see in that little clip, they have a little hug at the end, and this is his second workout, so he's narrowed it down to a couple of teams, and Seahawks are one of them. I feel with Mike, so obviously I can't speak for Terry on himself, but this situation that has gone on could be absolutely not guilty. And is Mike treating it like that until he is? He could have a really good conversation with Mike and say, like, look, this has happened. I got my lawyers dealing with this and stuff. This is the situation. This is the something I can bring your team. This is something that sort of sell himself. And I think Mike is a good judge of character, as in the point of he can, if he feels that Terrion is a not good fit for the identity of the team and the characteristics of the team, I think he would 1,000% choose to not have him.
Yeah.
I don't think he would allow personality to be brought into a team that he doesn't want. But how good was that conversation between Terrion and Mike? How good of does Terrion sort of get to the point of, look, I made a mistake, this happened, does he try and not worm his way out of it, but sort of get to a point where I think it'd be okay. I think Mike will probably say no in the end. I think judgment will say that he doesn't want the personality of Terrion in there. Does he make the team better? He does make the team better. But then does Mike want that personality or characteristics in the building? And I say no. So I think overall Mike would if there's not two yeses in that term of does he fit in the team? Does he make the team better? And then does his personality fit in the team? I think if one of those are no, which one of them is no for me, I think he does not bring him into the team. Well, what's your opinion on it?
It's like the ego, right? Like that's what he didn't want, and like he's a hell of a player, but I think it depends where they come out on that. To be honest, it's personally it's up to them. I wouldn't feel great about it, but I'm not in a position to put him on the team or not. So we'll see. There was a lot of coaches together talking at the end of that episode, talking about his visit. So we'll see. John had to say like, who else has had this much drama? Like if they sign somebody that's had this many charges against them, like what was the backlash? And he's talking about the backlash from the fan base. So it's really interesting. But yeah, I think I think we'll leave it there. We'll save that for episode 2 recap. And Connor, what was your thoughts on this episode?
I mean, as a rating wise, I'd probably say it's a good solid 9. I think the different outlook, like I say, from HBO, as in terms of getting you a winning team with a winning formula and seeing how they go about it again.
Yeah.
I really liked that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one, and I was excited for it, and it lived up to the excitement. So I'm really looking forward to episode 2. But yeah, I mean, if that's episode good to go, I mean that's episode 8 of Seahawks Across the Pond. Short one today, but Hard Knocks give us plenty to work with. Episode 2 drops next Tuesday, we believe, and we'll be back to react to that one as well. We have also done a little bit of a spoilers for episode 2, but all exciting points. But yeah, over to you, Lewis.
Yeah, so looking to recap episode 2. Episodes drop, I think, for us in the UK, it's like every Tuesday at 10 p.m. So probably like Wednesday is when we'll get to sort of recap it. And but preseason opener against the Cowboys, August 15th, coming up this weekend. Things are moving fast, closer and closer to the season. I think it was the Cardinals and the Titans played in the Hall of Fame game. That was actually a pretty good game, to be honest. But yeah, so if you're enjoying it but enjoying the build up to the season, leave us a review, a like, subscribe, and it really makes a difference for a new podcast like ours. So yeah, but until next time, from across the pond, go Hawks.